Hey there writers, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Emma and I write romance and I'm based in the UK. So my video this week is going to be 5 things that I kind of did wrong in my writing career so far. My video last week was 5 things that I did right, yippee, but I'm not perfect. My road to where I'm at now has certainly not been bump free, so I think it's important to look at the other side of things. I got to thinking more about my author kind of career and how I got to the point where I am now and how I can build on this after reading a book by my friend Thomas J. Beleza. His book is The Foundation for Longevity and it's all about building a career as a creative. I highly recommend that you check it out and the link will be down in the comments below. So, things that I did wrong, bearing in mind that despite the fact that I maybe did some things questionably, made some wrong decisions, it all ended up fine in the end. It all evened up and it led me to a place where I'm very, very happy with my writing career. So, it's all good. So number 1 and 2 on this list, which is in no particular order, they're kind of connected. So number 1 is that I didn't study marketing at all. So I wrote a book, my first book, The Green Hills of Home. I self-published that, and after self-publishing it, I think it was, I set up some social media profiles and began, kind of posting about the book. This is my book, here's where you can get my book. I don't think that I went over the top with kind of buy my book, but it still wasn't the best way to do things because nobody even knew I was writing a book before I published it, which is so very me. Actually, by the way, that is absolutely a me thing to do, just to start a career as a writer and then just casually drop the fact that I've written a whole book and published it. But it's not the way to do it if you want people to be excited about your book coming out, to be following your writing journey, pre-ordering your book, all of that stuff. So I really should have looked more into marketing at the time and worked out the best way to go about getting interest in my book. I definitely should have set up social media profiles before I'd finished writing the book so that I can give updates and things like that and start following other writers and publishers and agents and everything like that. So yeah, don't do that. If you're in the situation of writing your first book, learn from me. So connected to that is point number 2, in that I then tried to do too much on social media. So I set up accounts on all the social medias that were available at the time. So this was 13 years ago, something like that. So X was Twitter. We didn't have Threads. We didn't have Blue Sky, and we didn't have TikTok. Oh, what a beautiful time that was. But everywhere else, I set up accounts, I joined groups, and I tried to post regularly on everything, which, if you have the time and the energy and that's what you enjoy doing, I can kind of see the point to that. But as someone who doesn't particularly enjoy doing social media and who didn't have an awful lot of time for it, that really wasn't the right way to do it. I would have been far better off focusing on one social media. So at the moment, I focus on Instagram, if you're not counting YouTube, and my videos on YouTube. But if you're just counting kind of posting things, if you like posting pictures and stories and reels and things like that, I focus on Instagram because that seems to be where a lot of my readers are. Don't post very much on X anymore. I don't have really Threads. I think I've got an account, but I don't use it. I don't use Blue Sky. You can't do everything, and it's better to work out where you think your readers are, depending on what you are writing and who you are hoping to attract to come to read your book, and then focus on that. take your energy and concentrate it on the place that it's most sensible to do so. So number 3 on my list is that I didn't research publishers. I wrote my first romance book after reading an article by somebody ridiculous saying how easy it was to write a romance because they're so formulaic. So even at that time, I was running a book review website. I knew quite a few writers. I read an awful lot of romance and I knew that it could not be easy. So I thought, well, I'll have a go, and I wrote a book, and I then went and sent it off to Mills and Boon, hoping that they would be interested. I now know that book was not right for Mills and Boon, so I had a lovely rejection letter from them, just explaining that it wasn't right for them, pointing out all the things that they loved and encouraging me to come to them again if I wrote anything else. Mills and Boon have very particular criteria for each of their series. They're looking for very particular things. There are also quite a few rules when it comes to writing for them, which they will not break. So, for example, the people who are starring in the book, neither of them can be in any kind of relationship at all with somebody else at the beginning of the book or throughout it. It's just one of their rules. And not knowing that, not having researched the publisher properly and what they were looking for, obviously they were not going to want my book. So I was wasting my time. I was wasting their time, and that's not a good thing to do. So always make sure that you properly research publishers and agents before you send anything off to them. It will save you time, honestly. You're going to end up in a much better position when you're sending to them because you're actually sending them something that it is likely that they will want. So point number 4 is that I had to stop writing. Now, technically, this wasn't something that I did wrong because I didn't do it on purpose, but I had reached a point in my writing career where I had 2 books, I think, 2 novellas, and I was working on my 3rd book, and I got a problem with this ear and like really terrible vertigo, feeling really sick with it. And it also means if you've ever had anything like that before, you can't think properly. So while I could write to a certain degree, editing was just no, it could not happen. I couldn't hold everything that was going on in my mind to be able to enhance the manuscript, to correct it the way that I should. And so I ended up, I did actually submit the book, and I love that book. It's probably my favorite book that I've written, actually. But after that point, I had to say to my publisher, I'm sorry, I can't write at the moment. I don't know when I'm going to. And so I stepped back. I actually got the rights to my books back, and I didn't have anything published for quite a while. And obviously that is not ideal. I had momentum going. I had books which were selling really well. They were bestsellers. They were getting a lot of reviews, and things were going really well at that point. So it was so disappointing to have to do that. Like I say, it wasn't my fault that I had to do that. Obviously, we look back afterwards and we think, oh, could I actually have not pushed through, but is there a way that I could have worked around it and continued to work at maybe a slower pace? And I don't know, but at the time I felt that I couldn't. So like I say, that one was definitely not my fault, but it was not ideal in any way for my writing career. And finally, the big one, which is an absolute no-no, and especially if you read Thomas's book, that will reiterate this is a no-no, and he will be so cross with me when he watches this video and hears me say this, and that is that I had no plan whatsoever for what I was going to do. None. I just wrote a book, and when I'd written the book, I kind of worked out what I wanted to do with it, and I realized that I liked writing books, so I wrote a 2nd book. And at that point I realized that while I love writing books, I do not love marketing books, and so that is why I approached a publisher. I was offered a publishing deal with that publisher, and they wanted to include my first book that I'd self-published in that deal as well. So that's how that one, The Green Hills of Home, became traditionally published, even though it started out as self-published. And it just kind of built on there, with me kind of responding, I guess you could say, to things that came my way, or reaching a point where I'd written a book, or I wanted to do something, and looking at how I could make the most of that, as opposed to actually going, okay, so in order for me to achieve this, I need to do points 1, 2, and 3, and that will get me there. It was just very much of like, okay, I've done this, like, what can I do now? Like I say, it's worked out absolutely brilliantly, but looking back, it definitely wasn't the most sensible way to go about things. But then honestly, and I will make a video about this soon, I had no idea that I was going to end up with a career as a writer, that I would end up with, how many books have I got out now? I don't know, like 17, something like that, maybe like 17. I've got another couple of books written as well. I didn't know that was going to happen. I was just going like, oh, it's fun to write, and I've thought of this story, so I'm going to write it down. Yeah, I didn't know. But yeah, so anyway, I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and that it has shown you that everybody messes up a little bit in certain ways when it comes to their writing career. It's definitely not going to be a straight path to whatever it is that you want to achieve in your writing career. And even if you do make some wrong turns, if you make some decisions that maybe aren't the best, that doesn't mean that there's going to be some disaster and that it's not going to work out. Things usually have a habit of working out as they're meant to, and hopefully it'll all come together. If something does go a little bit wrong, you can just kind of bring it back, is what I'm saying, and it will all be fine. If you have enjoyed watching this video, please make sure that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already, because we have a lot of fun on this channel. The link to my video about the things that I did right in my publishing career is going to be down in the comments below, so make sure you check that out as well if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next one.